Hello and welcome to the third and the Dawn Football Show. I am Joe. With me is Cecil, as always. Here to talk some NFL football. We're back after a 1 week break. We had a Cecil bachelor party in New Orleans. A lot of fun down there. I just couldn't fit in the scheduling for doing the show, but we're back. We'll be back the rest of the year. We have a big wedding week coming up. We'll do a better job planning for that one. But Cecil, how are you doing, bud?
I'm great. Bourbon Street's great. Highly recommend to everybody out there. There's one drink though. I can't remember what it was called. Where basically pour some shots of 151 directly into a Red Bull can, and then you shotgun the Red Bull can. Do not recommend unless you want to have a really good time. But other than that, I mean, ready to get back in the groove of things here and talk some football.
I am too. It's always nice to have those little breaks where you can have some fun, but always good to get back into some football. Cease, let's get it started with our recap of Week 4, and we'll start off with the game we watched at the casino in New Orleans. We had a whole group bet in this whole big bachelor party. We all bet the Lions money line to beat the Packers, or even Lions with the spread. They were favored too. And they won 34-20. It was convincing fashion for owners of Jahmyr Gibbs and fantasy, which I know you are and I am in some leagues too. Maybe not the most fun for us because David Montgomery killed it on the ground, 32 carries, 121 yards, 3 touchdowns. Really just they rode him to victory. But just a total domination by the Lions. The Packers just kind of looked lost in this one. They kind of got some points in the second half to make it look closer than it actually was.
Yeah, the Packers got killed. It's that plain and simple. Yeah, I mean Montgomery's doing well, so I get why the Lions are going to ride the hot hand. It just seems like such a waste. Why do all this and get Jahmyr Gibbs when you could have gotten someone like Christian Gonzalez, who's absolutely killing it for New England? You could have gotten a high end defensive player, maybe one of the top tier linemen or something like that. I mean, that's fine. I know Gibbs is a great talent. That's why I drafted in a lot of fantasy leagues. Um, but it's just kind of a weird use of capital, right? Great. He's a great player. He's a great player to have on any team will want him on their team. The reality, though, is if you're going to ride David Montgomery for 30 carries a game, what's the point of having this guy there? And even when Montgomery was out, Gibbs wasn't used a ton. Like they still kind of limit his usage, which I don't understand. Let the man cook. And I mean, other than that, though, it's just an ass kicking of epic proportions. Green Bay's offense looked lost. The Lions looked aggressive. They looked ready to really show that they are the best team in the NFC North. And the only other thing I really have to say is the whole they cleared Aaron Jones to play and then barely used him pretty much half the game.
Yeah, that was weird, and they kind of like this first half or the first drive of the second half. They ran him out there a lot more than they had been using him, and then he kind of came back off the field. It was kind of weird at that rate. You're already down 27-3 at halftime. Why run him out there for the first drive of the second half was kind of the thing for me where I was like, that's kind of weird. But I'm with you. I'd love to see Jahmyr Gibbs used more of a dynamic running back. From the things I've read and seen online, it seems like they're more of a David Montgomery knows how to run the ball better as a pro in terms of, hey, if it's a zone run on the outside, you kind of have to push the ball towards the outside and then do a jump cut back inside. Even for inside zone, that's what you do too. But Jahmyr Gibbs kind of is more a free-flowing runner, and it's not really how they tell you to do it in the pros. It still works. He's still very good, but Montgomery runs the play more how it's supposed to be run. And we'll
Right.
see if that gets fixed in the next little bit here. Usually we don't necessarily draft rookie running backs for week 1. We draft them for week 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 on. We'll see if he gets more into the rotation here. But the Lions have a really good thing going. Packers need to regroup pretty quickly this week. They've got Las Vegas. We'll pick that game a little bit later on. We'll get to something that probably made both me and Cecil pull our hair out. The Titans beat the Bengals 27-3. This was, again, a game on, I think, mostly the offense and their inability to put up points and move the ball and put a lot of pressure on the defense. You give up 122 yards and a touchdown to Derrick Henry. Fine, that happens. It's Derrick Henry. But you score 3 points. You have 3 touchdowns all season through 4 weeks. Not looking good. It's discombobulated. The offensive line's not playing poorly. Joe Burrow is clearly not himself. And now T. Higgins has a rib injury. Not exactly how you draw this one up, Cease.
No, I mean it looked like an absolute mess. I mean they had some rhythm going in the first quarter. But then, things just started to get worse, and, the Titans got off some big plays that the defense looked like they weren't ready for. They looked tired out there. I mean, it was just by the end of the second quarter, it was one of the more frustrating games ever watched. And Zach Taylor continues to just do nothing when it comes to game planning now with Joe Burrow's injury. It seems like they're pretty much like, well, Joe Burrow's either going to win us this game or lose it. And the reality is, your plan literally can't just be for Joe Burrow to put on a cape and like win every game for you, especially in the condition he's in right now. He's 100% healthy, still not advised, but a lot of people in the NFL, when it comes to franchise quarterbacks, that's what they do. This is a different animal, right? You can't use a lot of the playbook that you're used to with him. He can't throw deep passes right now. It's very apparent. Maybe he gets some strength back. It's an injury where he doesn't re-injure it. It will get better over time. That is known. It's just the risk of re-injury is the big thing here. So, there's a world where they get better. And I'm not saying you have to bench Joe Burrow, but the reality is we got to see a different looking offense even with Joe Burrow out there. Because, I mean, if you can't commit to that, I mean, I get he's better than Jake Browning, even at 60% probably. And we can go through the problems of having a backup QB that's not worth anything. You can't even risk starting. But, I mean, the offense is just pitiful looking. They look zapped of all energy. And, I mean, the defense tried to put up a good effort, but, I mean, basically they had two breakaway, big plays that resulted, in touchdown drives with Titans before the half. And you just looked and you're like, this game's basically over. And that's a tough place to be for a team that's supposed to have this many top-tier weapons. Just because your quarterback's not 100%, Zach Taylor couldn't scheme you 20 points when he's supposed to be an offensive head coach. So, not a good look. A lot of teams in the NFL with less. You look at the Cardinals. They beat the Cowboys. A lot of, teams with uber less out than them are able to still win football games. So, if this continues the season at the end, I'm not saying, we have to fire Zach Taylor or something, but I think, we got to start looking into play calling and that can actually work instead of it just being piecemeal. Joe Burrow basically sitting there playing Madden 05 and just making an offense from out of nothing, regardless of the playbook.
Yeah, you're right. I think if they don't make the playoffs this year, someone's getting fired. It's going to be a matter of whether the Bengals make Zach Taylor scapegoat someone or the Bengals just fire him by themselves. There's too much talent on this team, even with an injured quarterback, to not be competing. There's different things teams are doing. They're not afraid to blitz Joe Burrow anymore because they know his receivers aren't getting open really quickly. They know he doesn't have the mobility to do what he used to do, which is, make something out of nothing a lot of times. And you just can't build an offense that way. So there is a lot that needs to be changed. In a weird way, it looks like it might be close to getting back. I mean, with T. Higgins has to be harder, but the timing looks like it's close to getting there. But it's just, until it gets there, it's not going to be good. So Bengals have a lot of things to fix. Titans needed that win to go to 2-2. It looks like it could be a tougher AFC South with some other teams kind of stepping up this year. We're going to go to the London game. I think our fans could get a little inside look at who my favorite team is. That's why I skipped the London game first. But the Toy Story game, Cease, I first of all loved Andy's room, loved the broadcast. Got to tune in a little bit on the plane while we were flying back from New Orleans. They have Slinky the dog as the chains. That's awesome. They have the crane drops the ball on the field for him. That's pretty cool. And it was pretty cool to get kids involved. If you're like a dad watching the game and have kids, it's a good way to hey, we can watch cartoons and have the kid involved. So love that even more than the Nickelodeon games, which I know is huge because we love the MVP on this show very much. But the Jaguars win 23-7. I don't have too much to say from this game, Cease, other than I think we found out that Arthur Smith is not the best in terms of getting skill position players the ball if they're not running backs. Titans system, that's how he's trying to do down here. Desmond Ritter's not the answer. Jaguars are better than the Falcons. I think we kind of knew that coming in.
Right, exactly. It was kind of a game that, kind of turned out in a way we expected. It's good to see the Jaguars kind of bounce back and, kind of look like the team they're supposed to be versus there's been times this season where they've looked a little lost, especially on offense. So it's good for them to get back to that kind of better passing offense, have Calvin Ridley involved. But, yeah, I mean, how much more can Atlanta keep up with this Arthur Smith experiment of, look at all my offensive weapons I don't use? It's that simple. You know, I don't know. Again, fire coaches early on in their careers before they really started. I'm not always a big fan of, but the reality is they need to have a talk about what this offense is and what they're trying to develop. Because right now they're just trying to. It looks like again. I keep saying this. It looks like an offense that was built for someone like Adrian Peterson 20 years ago, and that's great. That was great in the NFL for a long time. That's not what they have now. That's not how the NFL works anymore. Bijan Robinson's a rookie running back. They don't give him 30, 35 carries a game. So I mean, you can't run that offense unless you're committed to it completely. I mean, you look at the Ravens 5 years ago when they drafted Lamar Jackson. They decided to change their identity and make up their team. Now, has it necessarily gotten them, a Super Bowl? No. Is it questionable how it's going to work long term? And I mean, we've seen the lasting effects of it, sure. But, I mean, at least they tried to commit to that offense. The Falcons are just I mean, why have Drake London? Why have Drake London if you're not going to use him? Why draft Kyle Pitts? They should have drafted linemen. They should have drafted defensive key players. Make this team better if this is the offense they were going to run. Now they're just stuck with a bunch of talent that is basically sitting there doing run blocking as a receiver and tight end when that's not even their specialties.
I'm with you. I think even if you do have a run focused attack, you can do things that enables you to stretch the field or have if you stretch the field vertically, it opens up the run game, and they're just not even doing that. It's kind of sad to see. They're running a lot of two-man routes, which means max protection. That doesn't give Desmond Ritter a chance to really do anything. So I don't know what the plan is long term. If you want to if you want a running attack right now, go look at like what the Dolphins are doing. You can have elite wide receivers. You can use your wide receivers and still run the ball. That's what the Dolphins have done the last several weeks at least, and still be successful doing it. So I don't get the Arthur Smith thing. Jaguars, it's good to see them get back on track. I want to see, Trevor Lawrence has played well. It seems like a lot of his receivers are letting him down. The offensive line a little bit letting him down. They need to take that next step and just keep on winning games here because they need to get things back on track. As mentioned, AFC South could be a little bit tougher than we thought this year. Next game up, Cease, we got the Dolphins and the Bills, one of the more highly anticipated matchups of the week. It started off pretty good. I mean, it was, pretty close up until maybe the second quarter, and then the Bills started running away with it. They win 48-20. Now, this is without Jordan Poyer. Trey White ends up getting hurt. He's now out for the season. I just feel bad for that guy. He keeps on getting hurt every single year, and they need him if they're going to make a deep Super Bowl run. But Josh Allen looks good. After week one, didn't look so good. They get things back on track. They're 3-1, right in the thick of the AFC race. And the Dolphins, you don't want to ever get blown out by a division rival. It's understandable to lose to the Bills. And they did have some good offensive performances. Devin Achane, 8 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. But you just don't want to get blown out by a rival. The Bills, good win for them, though.
Right. I mean, this game was a lot further apart than we expect these two teams to be in this game. Again, it's one game. The NFL, Dolphins score 70 points one week, they get blown out the next. What does that mean for the Dolphins? I don't really know. If I think this game is played again, it will be, obviously, they're going to play in Miami later this year, I could see a completely different outcome. I could see the Dolphins definitely win that game. The Bills they game plan better. Stephon Diggs had a hell of a game. They lost contain on him. And I think that was one of the biggest difference makers were just the big touchdown plays that they were allowing him. The Bills were converting in the red zone, scoring touchdowns. They weren't settling for field goals. And, when a team's converting that many, red zone possessions into touchdowns, it's hard to compete. We put up over 40 points in the NFL. Chances are you're most likely going to win the game. And then especially when you're scoring in bunches like the Bills were kind of halfway through that game. It's hard for another offense to just go, I have to score a touchdown almost every drive to continue to keep up. The Dolphins ultimately do have that ability, but that's just still always a tough ask. So, this might be a better time than any. If you're high on the Dolphins this year, I wouldn't let this one game sway you, but, I don't see how the odds may or may not have dropped after this game, for Super Bowl odds, things of that nature. Might be a good thing to look into and try to lock in now, because I'm going to tell you right now, the Dolphins aren't going to suddenly just lay flat and give up on the season. Still a lot of games to be left. The worst case, they don't win the AFC East. They're still going to be a wild card team and they are as dangerous as anybody in the NFL right now with the scheming, the game plan, and the weapons they have.
Yeah, I've seen some hot takes in the media. I think even NFL Network's Kyle Brandt has said like, you know, oh, this offense is revolutionary, making fun of it. The revolutionary, what's it going to get you? It's not going to get you anywhere. This is the most copied offense in the league through the first 4 weeks. Teams are literally taking what the Dolphins have done and doing it themselves, whether it's the motion or the running style. They're doing it, and I think sleeping on the Dolphins after one loss, even if it was a big loss, is kind of crazy. So I'm still very high on the Dolphins. Still think the Bills are a good team too. I still think they're very good chances of going deep in the playoffs. But those injuries added up last year, and hopefully they don't keep on adding up this year. All right, one of the toilet bowls of the week sees the Denver Broncos at the Chicago Bears, and oh boy, do Bears fans want to forget this one. Go up big, 28-7 lead, end up blowing it. Justin Fields has a good game, 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, and they end up taking their foot off the gas, and inexplicably take their foot off the gas, and they lose to the Broncos at home. It was supposed to be a close game, but it's very disappointing to lose a game like that when you have it at hand with a running quarterback where you can just run the clock. I would say that there's going to be people fired here soon. They haven't won a game since last October.
Yeah, I think firings are definitely in order. I mean, the Bears had this in hand. It looked like they were going to win their first game, and they just slowly they pondered it away. And it was just a toilet bowl kind of game, like you said, where it looked like two teams that were incompetent. Two teams that they have players. It's the NFL. People can score points. The reality, though, is that good teams don't let bad teams back into the games. Because you can get back into a game in the NFL. It's not that unless you're the Bengals' current offense. If you're down by 2 possessions at halftime, you can easily come back and win. Hell, it could be the beginning of the fourth quarter. If you score a touchdown in your first drive and you have it at the beginning of the fourth quarter, you can win that game. It's very possible. And it just shows in this game the Bears are not there yet. And when you look at teams that usually finish in the bottom 3 in the league, it's not necessarily always like, wow, they're completely devoid of talent. That can be true. A lot of times you look at their schedule and you look at the games from the season, you just look at all these games that were squandered away. There were games they had no shot in, they got blown out in, sure. But there's way more games you can usually pick out in the worst teams in the NFL that were close, that for some reason they couldn't either finish or, they were never able to get right, really that, that third down they needed or that touchdown they needed to get back into things and build, momentum into that final quarter. So Bears showed it all again this week. Somebody needs to fire. I don't know how many more weeks we're gonna wait to fire somebody. You just lost to a Broncos team that was literally looked dead on arrival against the Dolphins a week before. And they looked dead coming into this game. It's not like the Broncos came in ready to fight. Broncos looked dead at halftime, and then somehow just let your foot off the gas and let them beat you. It's awful. And I'm a Chicago Bears fan right now. I'm very, very, very upset. And I start planning for the NFL draft.
I think you're right. The Broncos, as you said, they were kind of a dumpster fire coming to this too. They released Randy Gregory today. He's getting paid a lot of money, and they said they want to focus on the young guys because they kind of know the season's not going to go the way they want. So that's interesting, and I'm with you. Whether it's Matt Eberflus's defensive-minded head coach getting fired because they blew such a lead and they're already haven't won a game in a year, whether it's Luke Getsy because he stopped doing the things that were working last year, getting fired, the offensive coordinator. I don't know, but then something needs to change there. All right, next one up sees the Ravens at the Browns. Ravens win 28-3. We can take literally nothing from this game as good or bad for either team because the Browns had to go with the backup quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They tried to use him like a battering ram and didn't work. But good for the Ravens to go to 3-1, I guess.
Yeah, people are stupid, man. It's just, yeah. If you want to glean some of this game, you literally can't. Dorian Thompson starting quarterback is, who cares? It's their second string quarterback. Deshaun Watson's hurt. Deshaun Watson's not even that good anyway, so I don't know how much that would have changed the game. But, it was just a complete debacle. The defense of the Browns did not look as effective as they have the first couple weeks. I think that defense is going to really start grinding down as the year goes on now that they don't have Nick Chubb. And Deshaun Watson's going to keep making some weird plays. And every once in a while, he'll make a big play with his feet. And every broadcaster is on the game for some reason with him will think Deshaun Watson is the greatest thing on earth because he either runs it for 20 yards or he gets out of a sack and throws it 20 yards downfield for completion. In that same game, though, he will throw it backwards. He will throw a ball into triple coverage for an interception. All of these things. But the commentators will not remember that. They will only remember the plays where they this magic Deshaun Watson who existed in a vacuum 3 years ago for the 4-12 Texans is the greatest thing to ever happen and will somehow lead the Browns to the promised land. So, good luck, Brownies fans. You're not winning the division, especially after that kind of loss to the Ravens. I don't care if you had Deshaun or not. Um, Ravens are in the driver's seat right now. They bounced back after a heartbreaking loss to the Colts. Lamar Jackson looked like they really got the offense going. He was moving around well in the pocket as well, which has been something that's, that ground attack with getting him involved and scoring some touchdowns has been lacking and not there like it has in previous years, which is by design with the new kind of pass-first offense that they're trying to put in. But Ravens look good. What does it mean? We'll have to see till they have round 2 in a couple months.
Yes, it's interesting to me that that Deshaun Watson could have gone in this game and said he was not good to go. His shoulder wasn't good enough to go. I guess maybe the luxury of having a good record at the time. But also, your point, Cease, is very, very good in that he's not playing well either. So, you look at the stats of what he did for Cleveland, and it is, I would say pretty similar to what RG3 did in Cleveland during his time. So, just kind of they ran RG3 out of town. RG3 right now maybe would be doing just as much as Deshaun Watson, even right now. So that's just, I'm with you. The Deshaun Watson love has gone way too out of hype. I think fans are starting to turn on him. Next game up, though, let's go Los Angeles Rams and Indianapolis Colts. This was a better game than maybe even we even thought, even though it was a close spread. The Rams go up by a lot early, go up 20-0 by the half. The Colts come storming back. I think you saw good poise from Anthony Richardson in leading this comeback, and they end up tying it. And then the Rams, in overtime, they find Puka Nacua, and he gets into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown, and they have a little celebration in the locker room with him. I think it was a lot of grit from Colts for the comeback, a lot of grit from the Rams in terms of getting that overtime touchdown.
Yeah, honestly, it was one of the more entertaining games of the week. That's saying a lot about kind of how some of these games, the marquee matchups, turned out to be blow-ups. But, it was entertaining. I'm not saying, it was the best football game I've ever seen. There wasn't a ton of talent on the field, honestly, but it just seemed fun. There's some kind of reckless abandon to it when you're two teams that aren't necessarily saying we're going to win much this year, but you're just going to give it a shot, and you don't care what it looks like to win. You're trying to get out there and win the game, and sometimes that's the most fun thing in football because football ultimately is just chaos. It's chaos where you try to do all these game plans. Everyone tries to plan every little thing out, and I get why, but ultimately that falls apart most of the time, right? It comes down to who really wants it more in those kind of key moments. It's who executes and more really who just has the heart to make that one more play, that one breakaway to make that, extra fight on a 50-50 ball to really break open a game. And these teams both showed a lot of heart, which, in a lot of the games we saw this weekend, teams kind of really got beat up on and they kind of just fell over from there.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of the more entertaining games of the weekend. We'll move to a game that wasn't as entertaining, but maybe not a result we didn't expect. The Buccaneers beat the Saints 26-9. This was Derek Carr's return to the field after having that AC injury, in the shoulder injury. This is, I think, a testament, and we've seen some of the publicity this week following the game, Cease. Baker Mayfield, 3 touchdown passes in this one, had an interception. Great fit for the Buccaneers. He actually sought them out in free agency to go play with them. He's like, I want to be in your system. I want to be there. And I think we're finding out that he wasn't as bad as maybe Browns fans thought, as Panthers fans thought. Maybe it's just kind of like what you got going around the quarterback maybe affects things more than anything. And he's gone into Buccaneers camp, and it seems like everyone loves him and is rallying around him. They're 3-1 in a very winnable division, and they still have a lot of good players from the Brady years over the last several years that could help them win the division.
Right. And I mean, we look at when we talk about Baker Mayfield 2 years ago. Well, Baker Mayfield was out there with his entire throwing shoulder messed up. I mean, we pretty much were like, he probably shouldn't be playing. He looks like he's in pain. He looks like he can't make really any passes. But he was trying to play for his team, and I get that, and I respect that. But Baker Mayfield is not a franchise quarterback. He's not going to get you there by himself. But he's shown over the last couple of years, and he showed with the Browns. He's a top half quarterback in the NFL, and he's not going to be costing that much money either. If you don't have to pay Baker Mayfield a lot of money, you can build a strong team around him, and he can get you wins. And the quarterbacks that's a backup that can throw pretty well. There's a lot of guys that are the backups in the NFL or kind of the bottom guys that don't have a deep ball to look like his. I mean, that's a big thing. I mean, there's a lot of starters in the league that don't have a deep ball that looks like that. Baker makes some questionable decisions. He'll throw some interceptions he probably shouldn't. He kind of struggles more in that intermediate game, which is kind of where the NFL has gone to, and a lot of the people that are top tier quarterbacks excel. But I mean, you build a team around the guy. You get him a lot of weapons. You can see the weapons that Tampa Bay already had with Tom Brady, and it can be successful. Again to this day, if you're the Cleveland Browns, I hope you watch every Tampa Bay Buccaneers game and go, I don't know why we got rid of Baker Mayfield, who we could have paid $20 million, $25 million a year for Deshaun Watson for a guaranteed contract that's $40 million a year. And he's throwing to guys like Amari Cooper. I mean, imagine how the Browns could have built an offense with Baker Mayfield if they truly committed to it. I think it would be better. They would have had draft picks as well. I think they would have been in a much better position. Somebody show me some stats to prove me wrong. Obviously, it's all relative, but I think it took Baker, over a year to really get right with his shoulder. I think we saw a little fire even with the Rams last year with like very short-term plays. He barely knew a playbook, but they were just going out there to try to play and win games because him and Sean McVay knew they weren't playing for anything. So, I mean, if Tampa Bay has found their at least short-term, intermediate, I would say more intermediate term answer at quarterback, that's great for them. They found a hell of a steal in the guy, and I'm glad Baker Mayfield's career is still going because he didn't deserve what happened to him in Cleveland. He really didn't. He put it all out for them. They made the playoffs. They won a playoff game with Baker Mayfield, something no one else in the Browns franchise can say over the last 20 years, 25, 30 years. So he got a bad rap, and again, Cleveland, I don't know what you're cheering for with Deshaun Watson. He should try to bring that Baker Mayfield jersey out of the closet and maybe just sit there and then just use it as like a Snuggie to warm you on a cold Cleveland winter's day because they're coming.
Oh boy, yeah, I agree with what you said about Baker. We know we're big Baker guys here, and at least in terms of maybe not being the best quarterback of all time, but I think he's like in that Geno Smith tier where you pay the guy mid-tier money and he could be a guy who wins you games. We saw what Geno Smith did with the Seahawks last year and is doing with them this year. He could do that for the Bucs for the next couple of years. He could cash in after this year if the Buccaneers decide they want to keep him. They could cash in on a similar Geno Smith type deal, which is, hey, some money for him, but hey, we can get out of it pretty quickly if we want. And they could be a pretty good team. This is a team that a lot of people thought would be the number one pick possibly. Having Caleb Williams be a Buccaneer was kind of popular. Maybe not the case anymore. So exciting to see the Buccaneers play well. Exciting to see Baker get a second chance here with the Buccaneers. And we'll see how it goes from here on out. The Eagles defeated the Commanders 34-31 in overtime. Cease. This is one of those things where we know the division rivals always have trouble with certain teams. I remember back in the day, 7, 8 years ago, it was Rams, Seahawks always, had trouble with each other. Even when the Rams were bad and the Seahawks were good, back in the Legion of Boom days and all that. The Commanders beat the Eagles last year, gave them their first loss last year, and this time take them to the brink. I think it's more of a game planning thing than anything. But also the Eagles aren't playing as well as expected. They're not covering many spreads, which I know us gambling people like to use to kind of quantify how teams are. they just really haven't reached their potential. But hey, they're getting wins.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, it is one of those things, especially with the Commanders and Eagles. It's the same thing with the Bengals, Browns. I mean, these guys play each other twice a year. They know each other very well. They know what the team plays. They know all the players that are up and coming. I mean, no way not to when you play someone that often every year for years. So I guess it can be expected to some point. I think something that's for the casual observer, not really something seen or known as much to them. You look at the Eagles. Eagles almost won the Super Bowl, and you look at the Commanders, who are in the basement of the AFC or the NFC and the NFL in general. You wouldn't think this game's going to be close, but I mean they scheme well for Jalen Hurts. I guess they have the secret sauce. I think a lot of it is just they have good front seven,
Mhm.
that the Eagles offensive line can't just push around, and they're speedy and Jalen off the edge if he decides to run with it. And they got athletic freaks, and again, their athleticism kind of matches perfectly to Eagles can do so well and take advantage of against other teams. Um, it was close. I like how they called this game, how the Eagles kind of threw that deep pass to AJ Brown. He got a stupid excessive celebration, which Sanders 15 less yards to go down and score that touchdown. Which again, that's just football smarts. I get they're going to trash talk and everything, but you're in such a critical part of the game. It doesn't seem like a lot, but 15 yards with time expiring could have been all the difference to make them not have to go into overtime and being an absolute nail biter, then they might lose. So
True.
Eagles pull it out though. Commanders, they're a scrappy team.
Yeah, I think they're. At this rate, we're looking at a team who finishes third in the division, maybe takes a playoff spot when the Giants do not take that playoff spot this year. So we're going to get to their game in a little bit here. Another toilet bowl game sees the Vikings and the Panthers. Both teams were winless coming into the game. The Vikings leave with a 21-13 win. Don't have much to say about it. Justin Jefferson, 2 touchdowns, cool. Bryce Young, not going to say he's a bust or anything yet. He has a terrible offensive line in front of him. A lot of things to figure out. They want to get him a better weapon than, the aged Adam Thielen, who he did find a lot of times in this game for some yards in the revenge game. But, I mean, cool. The Vikings got to win. That's what I'm saying right now. That's all I got.
Yeah, much else to say. Kirk Cousins didn't look good in this game. Alexander Madison was involved, which is big considering the talk about Cam Akers over the last 2 games. Cam Akers hasn't really eaten in that much to his time, which I think is as a fantasy owner, a great thing for me. But in the real world, Vikings are a way better team than the Panthers. Panthers are in a rough spot because if this doesn't start turning around soon, they're going to look real dumb when the Chicago Bears get a top 3 NFL draft pick because of all this.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun to watch travel, or it's fun to track all these draft day trades, or these draft trades, I should say. So who's going to have the number 1 pick this year for sure. Speaking of draft stuff, I'm going to go take a little victory lap. It's 4 games, so I'm going to take my little victory lap that I had CJ Stroud ranked as quarterback number 1 because the Texans beat the Steelers 30-6. CJ Stroud's the real deal. We talked about Bryce Young's offensive line issues. Well, guess what? CJ Stroud's playing with backup of backups offensive linemen right now, and he's getting the job done. 306 yards, 2 touchdowns against the Steelers defense. Incredible. I'm taking my victory lap. Cecil, you can kind of break it down.
Yeah, CJ Stroud looks great. It's that simple. Um, we both liked him as prospects. I mean, Bryce Young, people like him better. CJ Stroud was more that prototypical quarterback, and he's got the size and he can use his legs. So I'm glad he's able to do in the NFL so well. And he kind of throws that entire Ohio State theory that they were just underutilizing him and afraid of getting him hurt. They're letting him let Stroud cook, man. But the Steelers, again, their offense sucks. Najee Harris isn't a good enough running back for them to be able to lean on the run or to set up the pass either. Jalen Warren, I don't know if he's any better. I don't think he is. They just have 2 very, very average running backs that are replacement level. I mean, you could probably find Leonard Fournette. You could probably call right now, and he'd give you the exact same results for $1 million for the rest of the year. That's a sad reality of what the Steelers' offense looks like. At what point do you just go, Kenny Pickett's going to either win this game or lose this game? we're gonna like just unleash, just let them throw the ball to George Pickens 10, 15, like just start taking deep shots. Like if that's what this offense has got to do, because at least they'll have a chance of something breaking away, or maybe that'll set up Najee Harris more. Because the current offense, Matt Canada has just put in a very lifeless, predictable, just mess that him and Zach Taylor probably are exchanging notes right now. It feels like.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's go to the evening games. We have the Chargers and the Raiders. The Chargers win 24-17. This is we expected this too. Jimmy Garoppolo was out for this game. Aiden O'Connell got his first career start. Just like Dorian Thompson-Robinson, one of those preseason all-stars that might think has some potential. But Khalil Mack had 6 sacks, so that wasn't going to happen. Very big game for him against his former team. The Chargers get the win. It was closer than you maybe would have thought, but really the Raiders just added some late points to make it that way. Chargers get the win, and that's kind of what we expected, especially given the injury information.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're starting a rookie quarterback. Aiden O'Connell didn't look that bad in his defense. Devontae Adams did go out of the game for a little bit as well, which definitely didn't hurt. Didn't help them at all with their young rookie quarterback to have your star receiver gone. I mean, the Chargers, they're a better team. It was just that simple. They had control of the game, which was nice for most of the game, and then they were able to put it away at the end because they were within the touchdown. And, sometimes you look at those games, especially with the Chargers that we've known and loved, and they would let the Raiders go to the field and score a touchdown in a heartbeat most of the time. So they did in this one. There were some critical turnovers for them, and Khalil Mack was a monster.
Absolutely. We're going to move it on to the 49ers beating the Cardinals. Again, a good team playing a bad team, so not too much to say here. I will mention Christian McCaffrey had 4 touchdowns. That's pretty cool. And Brock Purdy is showing that even though he has a weak arm, not the physical talent, not the runner, not the athleticism, he has some decent accuracy at times. Inconsistent, but decent. And he knows where to go with the ball, and pressure's coming, and that's very important to an NFL team.
Right. I mean, again, Brock Purdy looks phenomenal. I mean, he's not a world beater. He's not going to dominate the NFL. If you took him outside Kyle Shanahan's offense, he would be maybe not even a backup. But he doesn't need all these, because most of those guys, people get by in the NFL sometimes on their measurables, on their speed or their strength, these things that make them athletic freaks that makes them viable in the NFL. Brock Purdy was basically able to get in with next to no hope just because he was the, controller of chaos at Iowa State. And they took a gamble on him. And honestly, Kyle Shanahan, if this was the Brock Purdy in the NFL and the Brock Purdy I saw in college are two different people because it's just two completely different offenses that are asking very different things of it. I mean, Kyle Shanahan doesn't ask Brock Purdy to dominate a game. He's not asking him, hey, I need you to throw for 300 yards. Honestly, I think Kyle Shanahan takes it as a challenge to see if he can get him to throw for less than 200. Because I feel like that's the kind of game Kyle Shanahan wants. He wants to see, every running back get at least 100 yards rushing. But, I mean, he just gives him the options, tells him this is the spot to throw to. If it's there, great. If it's not, throw it away. Our defense is great, and our offense and Christian McCaffrey are good enough that we're going to score our fair share of points. You don't have to worry. You don't have to force something ever. This team will win games without you having to be a superstar. What this team will not do is win games if you try to become a superstar and doing things that Kyle Shanahan's telling you not to do. When you take the game into your own hands. Listen to your coach. When you're not an all-star, take the coaching, and you'll be better off for it. And I think that's what the 49ers have done. It's been unstoppable so far this season.
Absolutely, and I agree with what you said about Brock Purdy not being the same player he was in college. He was good, and they called it Brocktober at Iowa State because he was good in October, but otherwise he was all over the place, good and bad, different times. Hard to believe that him and Breece Hall were on the same team, and some of those teams were not very good. There's one, I think one was 7-6. That's not the greatest, but that's how it goes. I mean, I think there was a stat this week, just it's kind of unrelated, that Patrick Mahomes and Jared Goff and I think one other quarterback was 0 for when it came to playing ranked football teams in college football. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't. The Cowboys beat the Patriots. This shows you how bad of a 4 o'clock window there was. The Cowboys beat the Patriots 38-3. The defense was the main reason, and Mac Jones is the main reason for this. The worst case of happy feet I think I've ever seen in an NFL game. He was afraid of Micah Parsons in that Dallas Cowboys pass rush, throwing off his back foot, throwing inaccurately. Cease, this might be too early to say, but is Bill Belichick tanking by keeping Mac Jones in the game to get Caleb Williams? Is it possible?
Some people are saying. I don't think it's in Bill Belichick's makeup to tank. That man doesn't seem to know what to do with draft picks when he does have them. So, I mean, I get getting the first overall pick. That's pretty much a slam dunk. But there's just too much of a competitor in Bill Belichick and just his legacy. Just sit there and take a 2-win season. He just can't do that. I think it's a game where they got down quick. Mac Jones got overwhelmed really easily, and there's just some games, especially early in the season, where you're just like, it's just not our day, and you take your lumps, you watch the film the next day, and then you burn it, and you never talk of it again. It seems like that's the kind of game basically the Patriots had. A lot of teams are seeming to have that game against the Dallas Cowboys, and then Dallas had it themselves against the Arizona Cardinals. So it's good to see Dallas get back on track, especially after that miserable loss in the desert. But sometimes it just takes that kind of shock to really make you realize your potential. So Cowboys are back on track. Makes me feel way more confident in them. And the Patriots, who the hell knows? I mean, I think the only person who knows what's going on with the Patriots or what the path to success or what the game plan is Bill Belichick himself. His assistants know nothing. I don't even know if they even get, plays or get any say in practice until the day of. Maybe Bill Belichick just puts headsets on them and they're not even plugged in. It's possible. I mean, if somebody went in and one day reveals after 20 years from now, the Patriots equipment manager comes on and it's like, oh yeah, none of that stuff was plugged in. The only one that was Bill's. Bill just does everything. Would you be that surprised?
That's a movie waiting to happen. The only person's headset is the.
He's like Professor X in X-Men, man. It's Cerebro, all right?
Whatever makes him feel more powerful, I think he's earned it, Yeah, so I'm with you. The Cowboys, a lot more faith, but I think it happens. Like, the NFL, this is not college football. You can lose to teams that aren't good, and it's still like you're all pros. All teams are somewhat good. You're not, going to have those games where you lose, and you can still be a good team at the end. So it's okay for the Cowboys. Patriots, I don't really know where they're going either, so we'll figure that out later in the season. Moving on to Sunday Night Football, Cease. The Chiefs win 23-20 over the Jets. I have 3 major points to go over. I'll try to go over as fast as possible. Zach Wilson outplayed Patrick Mahomes. The first time Patrick Mahomes had been outplayed in a game in college or the NFL where Zach Wilson threw less interceptions, had more completions, and more touchdowns than Patrick Mahomes, I believe is the stat. The only time it's happened in his pro or college career that one other quarterback has done that. So that's pretty cool. 2, Patrick Mahomes deserves to be in prison for sliding at the end of the game when he got a first down instead of running the ball in and getting us bettors some money. Just absolute travesty.
He lost so much money.
Yeah, you just can't do that stuff, man. The first down's at the 2-yard line. You can't do that. And 3, conspiracy theory out here that Taylor Swift only went to this game so that when people Googled Taylor Swift jets, that people couldn't look up how much fuel her private jet gives out. Because that was the bad press surrounding Taylor Swift for years, was that, she has a private jet and there's too much bad fuel going in the air. So now if you Google Taylor Swift jets, all that comes up is a picture of her at the Jets game. So love that conspiracy theory. Love for Zach Wilson that he played better after how much hate he got. Shows he still got maybe some room to improve. And Patrick Mahomes, again, deserves to be in federal prison.
I agree with all 3 points. I mean, is the Swiftie effect starting to affect the Chiefs? I mean, think about it. I've never seen Pat Mahomes look so horrible in a game. And just in the most lazy way possible. In a game they were winning 17 points at one point. They then literally get a safety on kind of questionable call. I'm going to say that right there. I mean, kind of started grabbing the max before it was in the end zone. That's the rule. I don't know. Whatever. Regardless, that 2 points, 2-17, should have not been the world-changing event it was. From there, Pat Mahomes just starts throwing it like pop-ups in the air for the Jets defense to just catch and intercept. It just the most lazy quarterbacking. I haven't seen that from Pat Mahomes ever. The only time I've ever seen that is film at Texas Tech, where everyone, it was the same effect of no one cares. Teams, it's just, there's no discipline at times. Like, if I'm Andy Reid, I go in to film Monday morning, I'm pissed. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, good job, win's a win. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding? I'd be like, we almost lost a game we should have won by 40 points. Like, if that's not the tone of this meeting, then the team's doomed. Because they are just frolicking through the NFL season, acting like nothing's going to happen. They'll just be able to the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. From what I've seen is I've seen a weakened Chiefs team that is distracted by this Taylor Swift stuff. Now they're in this whirlwind of a pop cultural phenomenon instead of really focusing on playing football games. And sure, they beat up the Bears. Who cares? Anybody, most teams in the NFL, I bet 20 teams in the NFL right now could just beat the hell out of the Bears on any given Sunday. 100%. So if you're the Chiefs and you think like you're feeling good about yourself, you shouldn't. You're 3-1, but you didn't look that great against the Jaguars. You beat a horrible Bears team. You lost to the Lions. And you barely beat Jets, who Zach Wilson is their quarterback, who over the last couple weeks has done nothing. And again, they let the Jets keep being in the game the whole time. I've never seen anything like it. Especially for a defense that's been playing well for the Chiefs. So I don't know. Pat Mahomes 100% should be in prison. He should be put on trial. That's some coward ball right there. Coward ball. I mean, are you that terrified? Here's my question. I think Andy Reid should be embarrassed. He knows the spread. Every NFL coach has to know the spread. Just as a pride thing, do I really want to lose the spread to the New York Jets with half a quarterback? No. Go for the touchdown. Cover. Everybody loves a cover. And the Chiefs, still the ultimate supervillain. Because even when I picked them, I put money on them, they still ruined my day. So that's my rant today. I hope Taylor Swift causes the entire team to sink into the Arrowhead Stadium. I hope she doesn't, but I hope that the microcosm here is that the Chiefs somehow lose in the first round of playoffs.
I hope they curse each other. Taylor Swift sells no more albums. Chiefs win no more football games. I just hope it's terrible for everyone.
Do you know how crazy that would be?
That'd be more crazy that she doesn't sell another album than she still won another football game, but it's all right. But yeah, I'm with you. The Chiefs aren't looking as good as maybe they should right now. I do think there is some distraction. I will say that the team will be like, oh, no distraction. But I'm getting sick of hearing about it. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not in it. I'm getting sick of seeing the stuff on Twitter. I'm getting sick of seeing Taylor Swift on NFL stuff. Like, the NFL had to put out an apology letter saying, hey, we often change our social media stuff, and we're doing this because of the cultural impact. I've gotten so close. I never mute stuff on Twitter to muting Taylor Swift on Twitter. I don't hate Taylor Swift. I think some of her songs are good, whatever. But, I'm done hearing about this. I just want it to be over. If I'm hearing that, imagine what they're hearing. Hey, can I meet Taylor Swift if they're, a cornerback and their girlfriend's asking if they can meet Taylor Swift? I'm sure they're getting all this crap. It's awful. I'm sure it's a terrible situation.
Yeah, I don't know if the NFL social media team realizes what they've unleashed. I don't know how you don't realize that if you're in social media, what Taylor Swift represents, good or bad. But it's fine. I listen to Taylor Swift music. I went to her concert. I'll fully admit to it. It's fine. I like her as an artist. But when I'm trying to bet something online, I don't need there to be a Travis Kelce special, and have some kind of weird Swift pun in it. I don't need it. I don't want it. I'd like to keep the two. They don't have to be separate. But if Taylor Swift wants to come to an NFL game, that's fine. There's plenty of celebrities who've gone to a lot of different sporting events through the years. I don't need a specific camera for every time something happens.
Well,
I just don't. What if I went to a Taylor Swift concert and just started watching, football on my phone? Wouldn't people be pissed? I would get attacked.
They shouldn't be because you're not blocking the view and you're not taking up any. They could just look right past you. But I get it. Yeah, I get it.
It'd be
Um,
disrespectful.
Cecil, you just gotta get ready. There's gonna be a civil war in this world that is totally based on if you're a Taylor Swift fan or if you're a football fan, and you're gonna be sitting there in the middle, trying to figure it out. We'll see where you end up, but that's what's gonna happen.
Here.
That's what we're. If it keeps up at this pace, I'm not kidding. That's what's gonna tear the world apart. It's not gonna be any crisis anywhere else in the world. It's just gonna be Taylor Swift versus football. I'm ready for it.
Interesting. Who would have thought that would be the apocalypse right there?
All right, let's get to the last game of Week 4, Cease. We got the Seahawks beating the Giants 24-3. Fast turnaround from going from the Jets to the Giants, both playing at home. You know, Peyton Manning made the joke if Taylor Swift was there for the Giants game, she left because this was awful. Devon Witherspoon, big game for the Seahawks and helping them win 24-3. An interception, pick six, a couple of sacks, all over the field for them. And Daniel Jones, we said, don't give this guy this money. If you want to pay him something, pay him $25 million or something, not 40. Playing awfully this year, and to make matters worse, we have already had clips of Brian Dable yelling at him at the sidelines in a way we don't usually see head coaches yell at their quarterback, especially one that's not a proven starter where it's a give and take. It's more of just a Brian Dable just giving it to him, man. So this is I think Brian Dable is kind of pissed because he may only get one chance to be head coach, and he's stuck with this guy. Whether he wanted it or not, he's stuck with this guy, and this is not what he wants to be seeing.
Just the imagery of Dable screaming at Daniel Jones. I think I could watch that all day. I think it's cathartic to me to watch someone just yell at Daniel Jones for not being that good. But yeah, I mean, the Giants are a mess. Also, it's a dangerous game, but I've started instead of teasing down the spreads, I've started teasing up the spread Giants games. It's working. I don't know how. It seems like it's defying all logic. I don't think Vegas has a quantifiable reason for how Daniel Jones is this fucking bad. I don't think they figured it out yet. I don't think they know. I think they're starting to panic because too many people are winning too much money off the Giants being this bad. I'm at what point Vegas is going to start losing respect for the Giants? At some point, they're going to have to. Because I think it was a 2-point spread on this game. I was just I was tempted to do 9.5. I didn't because I was that's just crazy for me to disrespect Vegas' line that much. I did 6.5, and I was pissed I didn't do more.
Yeah.
FanDuel wouldn't let me do more than 10 points. And I'm shame on you. If I want to give you $20 to bet on a plus 20 game, let me do it. I do not have a problem. These are very highly thought of bets. These are not made on a whim, and we're up for the season. That's what matters. But yeah, Seahawks still look decent. I mean, they're not the best team. The Giants look like a dumpster fire. But I mean, they're still in the thick of it in the NFC.
So yeah, to your point about gambling, Cease, there's odds out there 12-1 that Brock Purdy is going to win the MVP right now. I saw this on Twitter. I'm going to steal it. I forget who it was from. I want to bet the reverse. I want to bet if you have odds that is 12-1 or plus 1,200, right? That means that the minus odds would be for him not winning the MVP would be minus 1,600. That's just how the math works out. Or excuse me, yeah. So minus 1,200, minus 1,600, whatever it is. I did the math before. I don't know what it all adds up to. Give me that. I will bet my whole life savings on Brock Purdy not winning the MVP. Just like you said with the books, let me move the line up and down as much as I want. Let me make this stupid bet where I'm giving you all my money if I lose, but you're going to give me a couple $100 if I win. Just do it for me.
Let me gamble my life away. God, stop making this whole responsible thing.
It's...
Yes, I know I've been on the app too long. Yes, I know how many bets I've made. Thank you.
Boy.
I don't need to know. Anyway, but yeah, I think that would be very interesting. Maybe we need to go to Caesars and just go, I want to start betting on anti-futures. I don't want to bet on what's going to happen. I want to bet on what I quantifiably think won't happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet on 31 teams not to win the Super Bowl.
I think it's a fair thing to do.
Let me do it. You don't have to give me great odds. I'm not asking for that. I'm just telling you the Bears are not going to win a Super Bowl. And I
I
will bet any amount of cash on that.
I think you should be able to bet $100 on the Browns not winning the Super Bowl and get a cent in return and feel happy about it. That's all I want.
I think I want to see a phone settled bets. I just want to see all green, all settled, all you were right. And I want them all to be Super Bowl futures odds that somebody did not win the Super Bowl on February 12th or whenever the Super Bowl is over.
Oh boy.
That's what I want.
Fair enough. All right, so let's get to week 5 picks here, Cease. We have 4 teams on bye. The Browns, Chargers, and Seahawks and Buccaneers are on bye. The Thursday night game is a doozy. It is the Bears and the Commanders. 0-4 Bears at the Commanders. Commanders are favored by 6 right now, Cease.
Commanders all the way, baby. They are scrap Bears. They games, I'll give them that, but Jesus. The Bears don't even look like they're in the same league. At least the Commanders are in a ton of games. You know, I think, did they beat the Broncos this year?
Yeah.
I think they came back and won that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless, Commanders, they're a decent team. They just aren't good enough yet. Bet the house on the Commanders to win this game. It's Thursday night. I know that's scary. People would say don't bet on Thursday night. But I cannot, in good conscience, ever tell anybody on earth to put a red set on the Bears. Not even to cover, not to win, not to do anything. I don't care if they're like, will Justin Fields get 20 rushing yards? I don't believe they will. I don't know. Their offensive coordinator will go, no, just sit in the pocket. I'm going to put cement on your legs, and you will stand here. I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibilities for the Bears offense at this point. You know, it's like the guy, they're going to duct tape the football to a running back's arm so he can't fumble it. Like, that's the level we're starting to get to the Bears' mediocrity. I feel like we're out of some kind of, like, Abbott and Costello comedy. Like, that's what we're getting to. They got to put up a semblance of a fight. I thought that maybe they were going to get on track against the Broncos. They blew it. So, zero faith in them. Give me the Commanders all the way.
All right, I am going to take the Commanders to win and the Bears with the points. After Cecil's long thing, I'm going to do that because it can't possibly get this bad. We're kind of already, but like it's a Thursday night game. It takes a lot for me to take a team to cover on Thursday night. Also, the Commanders, maybe push for a playoff spot, but they're not that great of a team. I mean, they struggle with the Broncos. Sam Howell hasn't looked that good. I mean, I don't know. I think the game against the Eagles was a great step, sure, but like they've done it before when they've still been a shitty team. So I'm going Bears with the points. I'm just doing it. I think it can't be that bad.
This has nothing to do. The Eagles game could have never happened. I would bet this game this way.
Okay.
Let's put some money on it.
All right, me and you will put some money on it for sure. All right, we're going to go to the Sunday game. This is a international series game in London. So we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Buffalo Bills, but in London. The Bills are favored by 5.5 right now, Cease.
I'm going to pick Bills to win, and I'll take them to cut because it's 5.5. It's close. London scares me. I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't bet on the spread in this game, just because anything can happen in these games. Like absolutely anything. Everyone thinks of the chaos of Thursday, and I believe in the chaos of Thursday. But London's a different level of just like people love the Jacksonville Jaguars there. Like that's a weird thing to have. It's a weird place. People in the state of Florida don't care that much about the Jacksonville Jaguars. But yeah, I think it'll be a good game. I think it's one I want to tune in for. I mean, I think the Bills, if this was in Buffalo or even in Jacksonville, if it was in the United States, I'd say the Bills win by at least 6 points, no problem. But you're throwing all these factors. Jacksonville's got to stay up there for an extra week, too. That's something that's a big factor as well. As the Jacksonville Jaguars are playing back-to-back games in London. They didn't fly back here. They've been in London for a whole week. They're acclimated to it. You know, they're probably having the time of their lives out there. And they're going to be ready to play the Buffalo Bills. And I think this is the first game the Bills have ever done international for a while anyway, and we'll see how they're able to handle that time difference, everything there, because it is different. And I mean, they just came off an emotional blow off win of the Dolphins, so this is your traditional looking trap game. So stay away from it. That's what I'm telling you right now. If you want to get risky, throw some money on the Jaguar spread, you could, but I'm not doing that. Gun to my head, I'm doing Bills to win and cover.
All right, just to be different. Bills to win and cover, but hammer it. Go put all your money on it. Gamble responsibly, please. But the Bills, I think, are showing that they're a very good team. The Jaguars have a lot of issues to fix. I'm not sure how many issues you can fix while you're over in London, just, like 2 weeks in a row. I think that's harder to do. But I'll go Bills.
Last 3 years.
Oh, God. But I'm going to go Bills. I think they're starting to really hit their stride. I'm hoping that they don't hit it too early like they did last year, where it was like, wow, first 7, 8 weeks of the season, we didn't think anyone was going to beat the Bills. They were the best team in the league. I'm hoping they don't do that again, but they look like they're pretty good. You are right, though, in all seriousness. Be caution with the London games. You never know what's going to happen. I am still taking Bills to win and cover like you did. The Titans at the Colts. Colts favored by 1 point. See, actually, the line has flipped now. It is over to Tennessee by 2. Tennessee favored by 2.
Tennessee by 2.
We're going by a couple of different books here, I guess. Holy crap.
Give me the Colts, man, at home. Titans are trash. Like they're gonna think they're good after last week's win, and yeah, I'm over it. I don't think they're good. I think everyone suddenly thinks, oh, the Titans are back. They're not. They got some very lucky big yardage plays they were able to capitalize touchdowns on, and they played against a quarterback who can't throw the ball more than 20 yards in a game they were down by 3 possessions. So, yeah, you should be able to win that game pretty handily in the second half. So, good job. But the Colts are unpredictable, man. They're great. They're fun to watch. I mean, Anthony Richardson's going to just run the ball if he has to. He doesn't care. So I like the Colts at home. Give me them to win and do the upset against the somehow juggernaut Titans.
So when I do my picks against the spread, this is probably a different sports book, but the Colts were favored by 1. I picked the Colts to win and cover, so I'm taking the Colts with this too. Like what Anthony Richardson is showing, again, it's not going to be clean or perfect every time. That's not why they took him to be their quarterback, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm with you. The Titans are not very good. But Cecil, if you're like me and would take the Colts to cover 1, I think you go find that sports book that's offering the Titans -2 and go push that down to the Colts and make it Colts -3, -2.5 or something like that. And if they win by a field goal, you make your money. Do that. Have some fun.
Genius.
Houston Texans at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons favored by 2 points.
I like the Texans. I like what C.J. Stroud's doing. I like how they've been playing. I think C.J. Stroud could throw for a lot of yards, and if that happens, I don't think the Falcons' offense has a response. So, give me the Houston and the upset.
I'll go Falcons to win and cover. Not really sold on either team yet. Love C.J. Stroud, but we know it's more than just a quarterback in this league. I think the Falcons optimally will get the ball. They'll run the clock and kill it and make it more of a time against the clock than even a C.J. Stroud playing against a defense type of game. I'm not a big fan of the Falcons this year, but they have improved their defense. Maybe that gets them to win this game, having the running game and the defense. Next one up, we have the Carolina Panthers at the Detroit Lions. The Lions are favored by 10 points now.
Lions to win, obviously. That's a hell of a spread. Let's full send. Let's go Lions to cover. I think 10's. I would tease this down to 9.5. 10 is that push where there's a good chance it's going to happen. I would be much more comfortable with this spread if it was 7 points. But the Panthers' offense has been not very good at all. Lions' defense has actually played decently well, especially on their secondary. Biggest thing I'm worried about is the Lions' offense at times, especially when they play a good defense, starts to look a little wobbly. Doesn't look as good. Now that doesn't mean the Lions are going to lose this game. I don't think that's really a possibility. But the problem is, I don't know if it's going to be an offensive firepower juggernaut kind of game where they can just win by 2 touchdowns. This might be one where they're playing keep away from the Panthers for most of the time, controlling the clock and just getting out. So we'll see. I think the Lions can do it, but this is one again. I would stay away from that spread as of right now, or I'd tease it down.
Yeah, when I made this pick against the spread on the website, it was -9 to the Lions. I took that, felt pretty good about it, even though it is weird to pick the Lions to cover such a big spread. It just in your head you have to think about it a couple seconds. Like the Lions, what? Um, but I'm doing it. I think the Panthers' offensive line is pretty bad. I think the Lions' defensive line is very good. I think they win this game by 2 scores. So again, you're right. Probably tease it down to 9.5 if you have to, but I'll take them to cover -10 since that's what we're picking on the show here. Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ravens favored by 4 points on the road.
Give me the Ravens to win and cover. I think they're just in a better spot as a team than the Steelers are. The Ravens have been hurt often, sure, but they still have a decent defense. Lamar Jackson is going to score them points. Pittsburgh Steelers look like they need to get a bunch of turnovers to give their offense any chance of putting points on the board. I don't know if that's going to happen against Lamar. It's a tough divisional game, but just I have no faith in the Steelers' offense right now against the Ravens. So give me the Ravens to win and cover a small spread.
Ravens win and cover for me too. I am concerned a little bit about the Steelers being at home. Their only home loss of the season, yes, it's 2 games, but it was to the 49ers. Throw that one out the window. And the Mike Tomlin going to finish above 500 thing. I mean, it's you're going to have to beat teams like the Ravens if you're going to get there this year for the Steelers. I don't know if this is the game, but they'll definitely beat some teams you don't expect down the stretch. But I'm going to go Ravens to win and cover here. The New Orleans Saints at the New England Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 1 at home.
I like the Saints, even if it's famous Jameis out there, old laser eyes. I think he's probably going to start, right?
No, Carr's back.
Carr's back. And more the more reason. Give me the Saints. I don't trust the Patriots right now. Um, they kind of went toe to toe against the Eagles, and people thought they were good. I don't think they are. I don't think there's enough of a home field advantage this early in October. If it was later in the year, New Orleans coming up to Boston would be hard to do because of the weather and everything, especially since they play in a dome. But I not that worried about the Saints in this game in particular. I think they got roughed up last week. I think they need a win. I think this is a get right game for them, and I need to see more from the Patriots before I'm picking them again confidently.
Yeah, I think it's easy to kind of have in the back of your mind like, oh, the Saints lost to the Bucks last week, and that's like that's why they kind of have the gambling lines what they do. But I do think the Saints will win this game. Going on the road, they obviously have Derek Carr back. He got back into the swing of things. He's still probably banged up a little bit with that shoulder, so he's getting used to things. Alvin Kamara's back, getting used to things too. And Mac Jones's issues with the happy feet and with the bad footwork overall, and the not throwing on the back step of his drop. That's not. I don't think that's fixable in 1 week. I mean, yeah, it was caused by Dallas's pass rush and Micah Parsons, but the Saints have a good pass rush too. I'll go Saints. Give me the point. I'll take the point too. New York Giants at the Miami Dolphins. Cecil, I'll hold my breath for where you're going for this one. The Dolphins favored by 11.
Tease that baby up.
We're at 13.5.
I mean, yeah, I would tease up. If it's 11, I'd tease up to 13 and a half and take it.
Okay.
I mean, anything above that's just suicide in the NFL. But I wouldn't be surprised if they won this game by 21 points. Giants suck. Like it's in Miami, right?
Yep.
So Miami, unless there's some kind of crazy weather coming, I don't know as of this broadcast. I mean, the Dolphins are going to be fine. They're going to be in a great spot. I mean, I think they're going to be pissed because they just got blown out by the Bills, and now everyone's like, "Oh, the Dolphins were fakes." I think Mike McDaniels and the team's going to cook up something real special for the hapless Giants, and I think Daniel Jones is going to look like an absolute idiot once again. So Dable will be screaming at the sideline. There will be tears. I mean, if we can get Danny Dimes to crime on live television, I think I've really peaked as a podcaster of the NFL. So that's what I'm really hoping for. Daniel Dimes, tears. Over under on that, I'm going to set at plus 1,000. So get behind it. if one of the betting websites, and I'm not talking, we don't have to get FanDuel right now. It's down the line. We can work with one of the smaller venues. We're building up. They can build up with us. There's plenty of avenues. But I got a lot of crazy spreads I would love to put on their sports book if they'll allow me. So,
Okay.
Danny Dimes tears. Dolphins going to win. They're going to win big. Tease that baby up.
Yeah, almost wanted to go with the Giants against the spread just because I know everyone's kind of like, oh, it's the Dolphins. We're going to bet Dolphins. Dolphins cover the spread. But then you look at, I think bettors are beating the house on 62% of spread bets this year. It's the house is losing this year. We're going Dolphins to win and cover big time. Dolphins have such a good offense. Giants are in no man's land right now. Saquon coming back will help. Maybe that's the difference in the game, but it's definitely not enough to win. Maybe cover the spread. So the Dolphins will win. I think they cover the spread too.
Yeah, I'm sending you the Jack Nicholson nodding his head in the departed meme right now.
Yeah. All right, the evening game sees Philadelphia Eagles at Los Angeles Rams. The Eagles are favored by 4 on the road, and man, this seems like a playoff game from a couple years ago.
It does, but it doesn't at the same time. Eagles should win and cover this game on the road against LA. That's a little more difficult, but I trust the Eagles enough to win the game by 2 field goals. So give me the Eagles to cover.
I'm going Eagles to win cover too, and again, I think the only thing that concerns me is just that they have had trouble covering the spread lately. I don't read too much into how much the team has covered, the records against the spread. Not too much. Sometimes I will, but that does concern me a little bit. But if everything goes right, they should be able to win and cover the spread.
Right, and I think a lot of that too is how big of spreads are we talking? Like when you're seeing a 3-4 point spread and people are throwing, oh, this person doesn't cover the spread when they usually win a bunch of games, I go, I don't really care at that point. They're not covering 7-point spreads all the time or 10-point spreads. I get it. That's hard for NFL teams to do. A lot of teams can barely cut when you're so good. You're playing bad teams. It's hard to necessarily pressure Vegas puts on these games and the lines. It's not necessarily fair to how just the NFL games and competition works. So don't play into it when it's small like that. If you're confident in a team, you should probably be confident enough to put them in for a 3 to 4 point spread.
I agree, and also if you do buy into the records against the spread, you're putting a whole lot of faith into Vegas with that, and that's what we're here to do is to bet against Vegas. That's what we're trying to do. So,
I love betting against them.
all right, Bengals at Cardinals. Bengals favored by 3 points somehow.
Jesus Christ. They should win. Give me the Bengals to win and cover. I'm not putting any money on the Bengals until further notice. Never, nothing. Staying the hell away. You cannot find me anywhere near Arizona. I am going to stay as far away from the desert. I'm going to go find a pool in a very lush greenery to try to stay as far away from Arizona as possible, both mentally and physically. So, that being said, love of God, Bengals are a better team than the Cardinals. Joe Burrow, if they amputate his leg, still they might be better than the Cardinals. They're a better team. They have more talent. They have a lot of good players on these teams. The Cardinals are just playing hard. There's going to be a lot of Bengals fans at this Arizona game because it's like the travel destination game, it seems like, of the year for them. So with that being said, the Bengals should win this game. They should have beat the Titans last week. So I can't good conscience tell anybody to put any money on the Bengals until I say it's okay. They need to pass the vibe check. They're not passing the vibe check right now. I want to see them beat the hell out of the Cardinals. I don't want to see them win by a field goal. I don't want to see them win by 4 points. We should win this game by a good amount. Now, Joe Burrow's supposed to play. I mean, he's in practice, all that stuff. So, love of God, please beat the Cardinals. If they don't, it's time to tank.
Yeah, I'm going Bengals to win and cover. It's just how it should be. The Cardinals are trying to tank, and the Bengals are not yet. So they should win and cover. I'm trusting in Joe Burrow saying he feels more comfortable. The mobility's coming back. And hey, maybe if someone blitzes, he can move a little bit. Not on him. I know he's hurt, but maybe he can move a little bit and create a play. T. Higgins possibly missing the game has a big effect, but even then, they're still more talented. Just kind of stuff the run, make Josh Dobbs beat you. You'll be fine. Bengals win and cover with you, Cease. Not putting any money on this game unless it's just going to a roulette table and just putting all your money on black, which, my experience, 100% hit rate, but that doesn't always work for everyone. So,
Good.
there you
I
go.
hit green this weekend. It was the worst moment of my life.
Yeah,
I didn't
great.
hit green. I didn't bet on green. But there's nothing worse than when you put a good amount of money on a color, and then you don't even get, you don't even get the other color. You don't even get the that's how it goes. It's 50-50 odds. You get a punch in the face of it's 40-49 and 1% green. There's just like a dude, a casino worker might as well just slap me.
Oh, boy.
Just empty my wallet and just toss me outside.
Oh boy, that is worse than anything I've heard of. But yeah, just bet on black. Go put all your money on the Bengals game and just bet on black. We'll just that's what you want to do.
Not more fun.
Absolutely. All right, so the 4:25 Eastern games, we have the New York Jets at the Denver Broncos. This is notable because the Sean Payton said some bad things about Nathaniel Hackett and
Nathaniel Hackett Revenge Bowl, baby.
That's right. Aaron Rodgers was going to make them pay. Now Zach Wilson's going to have to make the Broncos pay. The Broncos are favored by 1.5 points.
Oh shit. Um, this game's awful. At least there's different kinds of bad, right? There's entertaining bad, where like the Commanders are an up and coming team against a team that is just bad for no reason, just because they've forgotten that their quarterback is one of the more athletic players in the NFL. It's kind of funny to watch how it is. This is just sad bad. This is, it's depressing. The Jets have Zach Wilson instead of Aaron Rodgers. And the Broncos are just a mess of just – I don't think there's one entertaining thing about the Broncos this year. I think they're dull. I think they're boring. I didn't expect them to be good. They're not good. There's nothing they're really that good at in any facet of football this year. They are just very mediocre to below average in everything. They're not terrible at anything. It's not good at anything. They're not even good at being interestingly bad. So, that being said, I'm going to go the Jets. They're going to build off the momentum. I'm going to pick them. Picking the Jets here. Let's go. Let's ride. Fireman Eds. You're getting one for me today. I'd love to see the Jets build on something, because if they come out like half the team they did last week against the Chiefs, they should win this game, because Russell Wilson's going to do some lazy, dumb shit too. It's going to happen. And then when that happens, the Jets defense will capitalize. They don't get a pick six. Zach Wilson, maybe it's a field goal game. This could be a game where it's just a bunch of field goals. Somebody wins 9-6 or 12-9 or some shit. I don't know. But I like the Jets in a messy defensive game of just nobody should watch this. And I think because it's the New York and Denver West Coast market, might be a lot of people that end up having to.
Probably. I'm going to go Jets. I was intrigued by what I saw from Zach Wilson. There is the revenge factor. Their team wants to get more revenge on the Broncos than the Broncos want to get on them, because the Jets weren't the ones saying the stupid things about the Broncos. The Broncos were saying it about the Jets. And I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of Russell Wilson, of this team. It just doesn't seem like they're going in the right direction. They cut Randy Gregory to focus on younger players. It just, I could see this totally be let's restart the whole franchise this offseason after 1 year with Sean Payton. Keep Sean Payton, but let him do the rebuild, basically, type of thing. And honestly, I'm just flabbergasted. I'm scrolling through some of the ESPN games, and I saw that they took off the weather for some of the domed games. I'd like to see the weather from some of the domed games. We're going to get to some here next. But they took it off for the Colts game. The Colts like opening the stadium sometime. You can't take off the weather for us. They make a whole thing about opening the. You can't take. I need to see that stuff.
It's just really that hard to keep I feel like it's harder to take the weather off than it is to keep it on.
I probably.
Because it's an algorithm. They're hooked up to AccuWeather or something. It's honestly probably easier to just go, all of them, here's a geotag, give me the weather, and having to code individual ones not showing weather. You just made some intern's job way more difficult. When I appreciate it, I appreciate the irony of the weather at the dome.
You know what's going to happen is they're going to open the dome. Indianapolis is going to open the dome, and there's going to be a rainstorm. Jim Irsay is going to get wild one night, and he's going to say, let's leave it open, and I'm gonna lose it. All right.
And
Anyway.
everybody in Vegas is going to lose their shit.
Anyway, I noticed it because the next game we're picking is the Chiefs Vikings, and there's no weather there, obviously. But the Chiefs are favored by 4 points, and it's time to test you on whether you think that the Chiefs are cursed by Taylor Swift or not.
Yeah. First thought here. Technically, all places have weather, even inside a dome. Because if you don't have weather, you don't have an atmosphere. So until football is played in space in a vacuum, there will be an atmosphere. Fun fact.
All right, Isaac Newton. Jesus.
Take that. You're going to learn something at this football podcast. Is the curse of Taylor Swift real? No, because the curse of Kirk Cousins is even stronger. It's so strong. It's the strongest of all curses. Ever since the day he said you like that, the football gods have cursed him, saying you will never, ever do anything. You will be a fraud for the rest of your life. That's what they've deemed to him. He is cursed. He is cursed to be a fantasy quarterback that people pick up in desperation, who go, Christian Kirk gets me 22 points. I'm playing Christian Kirk, or I keep playing Kirk Cousins instead, not Christian Kirk. That would be bad. But I keep playing Kirk Cousins until Kirk Cousins gets you 5 fantasy points, because that's what's going to happen to you. Because he's Kirk Cousins. That's what he does. He doesn't care about your fantasy team. He doesn't care about your life. He doesn't care about your family. All he cares about is winning games by field goals. That's all he wants. That's all he cares about. That being said, Chiefs, love of God, is Taylor Swift going to be at this game? Do we know?
Nope.
If she shows up, I'm going to start being like, this girl's, does she have anything else to do with her life? Like, this is my hobby. Like, I do this. Like, this is my lifestyle. This is not Taylor Swift's like, I like the NFL now. I mean, it's a lot of work to fly city to city every Sunday. They'll watch a game that you probably don't care that much about.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm going Chiefs to win and cover, first of all, because I don't believe in the curse either. So I'm with you on that. Second, if she doesn't want to be a distraction, why not just you can start off and see if this works the first time. You just kind of you put your hat on and you kind of bring the brim down low and kind of try to wear a neutral color and just kind of hide in the crowd. You could do that. If that doesn't work, you're at an NFL stadium. You can paint your face, and no one will know who you are. If that doesn't work, you just go get an elaborate costume. Guess what? You're now Chiefsaholic. You're the new Chiefsaholic. Taylor Swift is the new Chiefsaholic. You dress up in that, and guess what? You go support your boyfriend or whatever you guys are calling yourselves without anyone knowing you're there, without any distractions, without me seeing you on the Twitter feed. That's what you do, Taylor Swift. You go to the Halloween Express. It's open this month. I know that. And you go get your costume.
Like a Where's Waldo, Where's Taylor Swift?
Right. So just do that, and then we never have to see you again.
What's the spread on this game?
It's 4 points to the Chiefs.
So I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win. But here's the craziest thing.
Oh, boy.
If Taylor Swift has announced she's coming to the game, will the line move?
I don't know. The Vikings players already said they're going to talk trash to Travis Kelce about her, so that's fun.
Your girlfriend.
Byron Murphy said he's going to do it.
If I was a defensive back or a linebacker, I would think of 20 different comebacks related to Taylor Swift lyrics to shout at Travis Kelce as he gets tackled.
Okay.
Every time. If there's an incompletion, just recite something. You've got to have a bunch of those in your pocket. You got to get in his head. And I think the Chiefs start losing this game, and he's getting yelled at about Taylor Swift stuff. I think he might just lose it. Will he from a game? Who knows? Would he do it for Taylor Swift? If the Swifties had their way, he absolutely would do it for her. But yeah, I think we're getting to the point of Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce phenomenon. But I think her presence will start moving spreads for gambling lines. I'm swearing to you, I think it's going to happen. I think there is a world now that we are so far into this that it can affect all facets of our lives.
All right, now you're starting to sound like Doc from Back to the Future. All right, with the hair out to here. I mean, I get it, but
It's
um,
spiraling, man. I mean,
geez, all right. No, I'm gonna say that I do not know if she's gonna be there. I think this is one you take to Minnesota. You don't want to go to Minnesota. I mean, come on. You saw him at his home. He played, the Chiefs. Saw him in the Chiefs at school. You saw
a
him in New
nice
York.
dome. It's a nice stadium. What against the people of Minnesota?
Nothing, but she has a place in New York. She went to Travis's home, and she went to somewhere where she has a house. And the only thing I have against the trash, trash talk with like, hey, using song lyrics is then those players have to admit that they listen to her music, and that's kind of already like a win for Travis at that point. So I don't know. I think there's plenty of things you can talk trash about. Like they're probably just sick of seeing it. Like, dude, like I'd be talking to him like, hey man, I will give you $100,000 just to break up with her, so I don't have to see this anymore. Just please stop.
Well, here's a question: if she won't show up to the Minnesota game, is this just a relationship of convenience? Like, it's easy to go to a Chiefs game. Everyone with a Travis Kelsey jersey on, everyone's going to love you. It's easy to go to New York because everybody already loves you in New York. You go to Minnesota wearing a Chiefs jersey, you might get booed. Is she ready for that?
What
Is she
is
ready for that heat?
what's the protocols? Does Travis Kelsey have to go to all of her stops on her tour in the off season? One, I would think like maybe a couple. I don't want to go to every stop. And two, what does Ciara do for Russ? Does she go to all the games? Is there an excuse for not going to the away games that she doesn't like the cities, or she's watching the kids? Like I think we need more info here.
There's a difference, though. They just started dating, and it's that point where she's got to pretend she likes football. She loves football. I mean,
A man with
she's sitting
experience
there.
there. I got it.
Exactly. So you got to start games. You got to pretend you're interested. Maybe a year down the road, she goes, "Honey, I hate football, and I never want to be in another stupid game again." Happens. That's love, man.
Well, she did say that was her first football game ever, so maybe she does hate it. All right, so that's enough. Taylor's. I hate the Taylor Swift talk yet. We're doing it, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So we're gonna move on to the Sunday Night Football game, which is one of the best games of the year, one of the best games of the schedule. You got the historic rivalry. You got two good teams right now, two of the best teams in the NFC or in the league as a whole. Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. It is a 4-point spread in favor of the 49ers right now, Cease.
Give me 49ers to win, but I'm taking the Cowboys with the points right now. I'm doing spread here. Here's why I think the Cowboys just cannot beat the 49ers. I don't know what the hell happens, but it just seems like here's what happens. It's Mike McCarthy, okay? It's that man. It's that man's horrible clock management, his inability to be aggressive, and really just know what's going on half the time. They've lost multiple games because Mike McCarthy just looks lost. And Kyle Shanahan is on top of every move. So if you want to talk about two teams that are great, and the reason why one people are hesitant to say are going to be in the Super Bowl, it's because of that man right there. That man, when the chips are down, Mike McCarthy is definitely in the bottom half of coaches in the NFL. I'm not going to say like bottom 10 or do something mean and vindictive because there's a lot of NFL coaches that, who knows, there are a lot of unknowns out there. But I just know when it comes to coaching, who has the edge in this game, it's going to be the San Francisco 49ers. They have a good team. The defense has still been playing really well so far. And Christian McCaffrey's been playing unreal. Brock Purdy, again, if he keeps playing this kind of, airless football where he just takes care of the football, hits his marks at places, and, we're in a game and it's close, I think the 49ers pull it out in a close one. They might win by a field goal, honestly. It might be a last-second field goal or a touchdown to go up. So maybe you take Cowboys plus 4.5. I don't think that's a bad idea in this case, but if it's 4, I'm taking the Cowboys as well, and I'm probably going to assume it's going to be a push. So that being said, great matchup. I'm super excited for it, and I just think Mike McCarthy and his mismanagement is going to come into play to cost him.
Yeah, despite what the resident Packers fan at the Game House writes in his articles, this is one of the 2 or 3, if you prefer the Cowboys Eagles later in the season, best Sunday Night Football matchups of the season, along with the Bengals and Bills. Of course, now the Bengals Bills looks like a bad pick because the Bengals stink. But before the season, that would have been the pick. But I've seen this movie too many times. 49ers to win and cover. Maybe if the Cowboys were hosting, I'd feel differently. I'm pretty hyped up after that whole awesome defensive performance, but the way the 49ers are playing right now, they're going to lose at some point. We're not going to expect it. Maybe this is the week it happens, but I'm going to go with them to win and cover. They're at home. Brock Purdy's playing well. None of their pieces, usually with the 49ers, I'm kind of concerned because they have injuries going on. No one's gotten hurt too badly yet, which is a good thing. Want to see all the players stay healthy, but that's kind of like the downfall of their team. Is like they have George Kittle always gets hurt. Christian McCaffrey always gets hurt. Trent Williams is kind of old. Deebo Samuel has injuries piling up. Their quarterbacks last year all got hurt at the wrong time. So that's not happening right now. I'm going to go 49ers to win and cover.
Yeah, but think, what's all the rage in Hollywood right now? Prequels, legacy sequels.
Oh,
So,
boy.
I mean, what do all of us have in common? They all seem the same. We've seen this story a bunch of times, right? Cowboys screw it up in the end, but maybe the twist this time is that the Cowboys pull it out,
No, that's the
only to
playoffs.
eventually lose in the playoffs.
No, they're going to win in the playoffs this time. Probably
No,
not.
that's not how it works, man.
No.
It's the same in the end, but the beginning is different to grab you in. You're gonna get grabbed a
No.
hold of this weekend, Joe. You're gonna think you're right. The Dallas Cowboys are gonna win the Super Bowl this year, and then they're gonna take it from
No.
you again.
This is Rocky
They're gonna
2.
take it from you in the playoffs.
No, this is Rocky
So
2.
in Jerry World, they're gonna rip your heart out.
Rocky 2. This is Rocky 2, telling you. They're going to win in the end. But no, you're right. In general, it's the same thing. The Packers had the same issue. They couldn't beat the 49ers. They couldn't beat Tom Brady when he was on the Bucs. And the Cowboys have the same issue. They can't beat the Packers when Aaron Rodgers was there. They can't beat the 49ers. Those are the two teams they struggled with. And that's why they don't win a Super Bowl. That's why the Packers only won one Super Bowl. It's just, you got to get over these mental hurdles, man. I hate it. But 49ers to win and cover. Your pick's probably fine, too, on a more on-paper basis. But I'm too scarred to pick differently. All right, Packers and Raiders. Monday Night Football. Packers favored by 1 on the road. Not excited for this matchup. Cease, what do you think?
Give me the Packers. Sure, what the hell? And this is one I'm not betting on. I would never bet on this game. Because on paper the Packers are better. Jordan Love thrown for a good amount of passing yards. He's looked okay at times. That being said, the Raiders are a weird team too that can be competitive all of a sudden in certain games. And it's in Las Vegas. Maybe the Packers just lose it in prime time. But they should win this game. The Packers the advantage. They should win and cover the 1-point spread, obviously. So give me the win and cover. But again, stay away from this black hole of a game, so to speak.
You said black hole, so I'm going Raiders.
All right.
Raiders with the 1 point, whatever it is. I think the Raiders would be favored by 3 or 4 if anyone but Josh McDaniels was the coach too. I think that's.
Are you up? You can tease it up.
Yeah, tease it up. But they got to fire him first, so I don't know. So they're a good team. They have some of the pieces they had over the last couple of years. The Packers are still unsure about how good I think they are. This is, as you said, it's a coin flip game. I'm staying away from it betting wise. I'll take the Raiders because they're at home. I have no faith in either team, especially the way these offenses have been run. As you mentioned, Aaron Jones' usage over his whole career, but specifically last week. And the Raiders, Josh Jacobs' usage has been weird. Josh McDaniels is just kind of a weird head coach. I don't know. I'll go Raiders. No faith in it. Zero faith. All right, Cease, any final thoughts for the week?
Well, 2 actually. Is Josh McDaniels the Eric of Billy Madison fame? Are they the same? Is his style? Is he kind of just there? He's kind of annoying. He thinks he should be in charge of the Raiders. He should be a head coach somewhere, but he's really just a little weasel. I don't know. Things to think on this next week as you're watching the Raiders Packers game. 2, teasing up spreads unlocks a whole new level of gambling, folks.
Oh boy.
Try it sometime. It'll change your whole life. When you just go, you got to have some cojones to go tell Vegas, guess what? Your line sucks. Here's a better one. It's like taking the red pill, man. You see through Vegas. You see a bunch of ones and zeros, plus 100, plus 200. You see it all right there in front of you. So break through the matrix. Don't live on the spread Vegas is. Enhance your experience.
All right, so my final thought is if anyone has a way to have Cecil tell his fiance that he lost all his money gambling because he teased the spreads down and up, all time. All the honeymoon fund that they can't go on their honeymoon. Make sure to let us know. We're gonna need that for next week. Sorry, only good vibes. He's gonna hit all his bets. He's gonna double the honeymoon fund. That's how we're doing with.
Doubling it.
All right, that's all we have this week. My turn to remind everyone that we'll be back next week for sure. We're going to recap week 5, preview week 6, and get into our picks for it as well. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.